So this is part 2 of my little design series, and having made these designs last week, this week I am going to destroy them. I'm going to cover them up with white and black paint, and basically my intention now is to create an interesting textured surface while still maintaining some strong contrasts in black and white. But I want to create some texture and have a surface that is not just flat. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. And this is the process that I use in my paintings. We start off with strong design and creating a surface. And so here I'm just scraping over white paint, and now I'm coming in with some black. And this colour shaper I really like using because it creates really soft marks. They're not hard edged and you have less control with it, and so you end up with some lovely effects that you can't really manufacture in any other way. So I'm using this tool on all three of these and just flipping one to the other, just adding darks and lights, and as the paint dries I'll work on another painting. So now I'm coming in with pencil so that I can get a different type of mark, and I'm just scribbling all over the paint. Some of it's dry, some of it's wet, so it's sort of carrying some of the paint over. Now I'm coming in with a white pencil on top of the black paint just to get a different type of effect, and all of this is just experimental. I've got no idea what it's going to work out, how it's going to work out, but I'm just playing. I'm just seeing what I can create. Just having fun with design and creating texture and different marks. And this time I'm trying to keep it a little cleaner and going crazy and scribbling and doing a little bit of a doodle. Black on white and then white on black. I'm wanting that line to travel all over the composition. And now I'm just coming in with a little bit of water and spreading over some of the paint that hasn't dried, just to see what sort of effect that creates. And now over with some white paint over the top of it. So I'm now thinking more about the design, thinking about creating those strong contrasts between light and dark. Looking to see how I can move the eye around the composition and how I can create different sorts of effects with my tool, different marks and different shapes. Looking at the sizes and the shapes, trying to sort of optimize differences. And bringing some water over the top just creates a really soft, transparent sort of mark, which is nice and in contrast to the heavy darkness, the heavy blackness of the black paint. And there's some water going on over the top of this one. Okay, so I've got a lot of soft marks and painterly sort of effects. So coming in with a pencil and having some really straight lines is a kind of opposite to that, so that'll always look good. It just adds a different type of mark to the surface. There's no right or wrongs with this sort of process. It's just trying things out and discovering things that you like, things that you keep, and things that don't look so great, you just keep painting over until you feel like you're satisfied with what you've got in front of you, or you're tired with what you've got in front of you and it's time to move on to something else. Which is one of the reasons why I always work in multiples, so I've got always something to move on to. Now that I've created this really messy sort of layered up surface, I want to get some clean lines back into it, so I'm going back to my original collage pieces and I've cut those up and I'm thinking about integrating them back into the composition. So I'm using a brush now to get a different type of mark and then moving the paint around with some water. Considering options with collage, and then I decide that I will stick this down. So using a bit of heavy gel medium, I make a little curve, and now I'm still looking at collage options here, and some more sort of solid black shapes. And this is what I like doing as well, is to look at one piece next to another. So now I'm sort of trying to clean up this surface a little bit to give some clear areas and some stronger contrast and to really find some shapes in this composition. So you can see that the design is quite well defined in this one here. Strong darks, strong lights, and a textured layered surface. Okay, so I've got some small black shapes, and this one I wanted to contrast that with large shapes. And here I'm looking at bringing in some clean edges with the collage again. And here you can see the nice surface, the texture, and the build-up of layers that just adding layer upon layer and digging back through the layers and scraping back, then adding collage can really give you some interesting effects. Now I'm glazing. So this is just a little bit of transparent paint with water, and it just gives a warmth or a touch of colour to the painting. Putting it on and then wiping it away. And this always looks good on white because it sort of sinks into the crevices in the surface of the paint. And finally I can add some thicker paint and smooch that around in the same way that I was using the black and white. Not going too crazy with colour, just adding a little bit just for interest. Pencil and then a swoosh of yellow paint on this one. That's been a fun exercise. Have a go yourself.